Hey Ryu, did you know that there was an airline called Varigay, which made a commercial that used the Urashima Taro fable?
Yes, Goro. I think my father told me once. It was more than 50 years ago, right?
That's right, I already told you about Urashima Taro, remember?
Yes, he saves a turtle. The turtle invites him to the palace at the bottom of the sea. But when he returns after a few days, hundreds of years have already passed.
Exactly, and in the original story the gift that Urashima Taro receives from the princess is a box that when opened, makes him age all the years that have passed.
So it was a Greek gift from the princess.
It's not like that, we already talked about it too, remember?
Yes, I know, but the box should have come with a warning like, open it and get an instant graybeard.
Ha ha ha, but Varigay commercial completely changed this concept. In the original story, the princess's gift was something negative, because it aged Urashima Taro. Nevertheless, in the commercial, the gift became something positive, a ticket back to Japan. They took a story with a sad ending, and turned it into an optimistic message.
This means that instead of saying, surprise, you have just grown old, the commercial was more like saying, surprise, here's your ticket back to Japan. In first class.
Yes, but it was more than that. Varigay touched a very strong emotional point. At that time some Japanese immigrants in Brazil had already accumulated a fair amount of financial wealth, making it possible to dream of returning to Japan, which was the wish of every Japanese immigrant coming true.
Yes, because they left Japan with almost nothing, and now they could return with the ticket they bought, with the money they saved after working hard.
Yes, and the Varigay commercial connected this very well by using the fable and associating it with the idea of a return trip. They hit the nail on the head with the Japanese-Brazilian community. Furthermore, the fact of making the parallel between the Dragon Palace and the lands of Brazil somewhat alleviated all the pain and suffering experienced by each immigrant who came in search of a better life.
Immigrants suffered a lot, right?
Yes, they suffered a lot. The saga of Japanese immigration is portrayed very well in the series Haru and Natsu, which tells about how hard life was at that time. I'll tell you about that another day, okay?
Okay, I'll write it down on my notebook to remember.
Finally, the last interesting point about the Varigay commercial is that the song in it was sung by Rosa Miyake. Have you heard of her?
Yes, my mother was a fan of hers. It seems like she presented a program aimed at the Japanese-Brazilian community, right?
Exactly. The program was called Imagens do Japão, and was fundamental to the community. It brought news from Japan, talked about culture, and also promoted many events such as Japanese music competitions, and it was one of the first TV programs that gave visibility to Japanese culture in Brazil, especially for immigrants and their descendants who wanted to maintain a connection with Japan.
And we are talking about a time when there was no internet, so Imagens do Japão was like YouTube back then, right?
Yes. Imagens do Japão was the main means of maintaining this connection between the Japanese colony here and the new reality of a Japan that was prospering after the war, and Rosa Miyake was the presenter of it. She was a very beloved and important figure for the Japanese-Brazilian community.
Like the queen of the community, right? In addition to being a presenter, she was also a singer, interviewer, and did a lot of things.
Exactly. Rosa Miyake was very versatile and not only presented the program, but also helped to promote Japanese culture in Brazil, and became a reference for immigrants and descendants, especially in the 60s and 70s.
Wow, that's cool. And her singing the song from the Varig commercial should give it much more credibility, right?
Exactly, Ryu. This was Varigay's great success. Varigay was founded in 1927 and became one of the main aviation companies in Latin America, but unfortunately it began to face serious financial problems and went bankrupt in 2010. Marking the end of an era in Brazilian aviation. In any case, the memory of this commercial using Urashima Taro in the voice of Rosa Miyake remains alive in the memory of the Japanese-Brazilian community.
I'm going to look up that commercial on YouTube to see what it was like.
Yes, do it, Ryu. You'll like it.